What is up, Terps fans? Welcome into another Fear the Podcast. I'm Matt Moderno. I'm excited to be joined here by one of the newest Terps, Collin Metcalf. Collin, thanks for coming on, man, and welcome to the program.
Appreciate it. Love being here, man. Excited for next year.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to have you. Excited for this new team, and it is a new team, so we're going to talk a little bit about that with you and what that's like. But for anybody not familiar, Collin averaged 4 points, 5 rebounds, 2.5 blocks, which is crazy, and I want to talk about that a little bit here. In 22 minutes per game for Northeastern last year. You were the 2025 CAA All-Defensive Team member. Just first, man, like I played a lot of basketball in my life. I've never been a good defender. So just walk me through this. How are you such a good rim protector? Was this a thing you were born with it? Is it the volleyball background? Is it just good coaching? I guess, I don't know. Talk me through the shot blocking a little bit.
I think it has a little bit to do with everything. I think I come from a volleyball background, so it's very easy for me to just go up, track the ball.
Mhm.
If you're not putting it on the glass, I'm putting it in the stands.
There you go.
That's my biggest motto. And I think on defense, it's just that's been the number one thing for me all my life in all sports, whether it was football, volleyball, baseball, soccer. I just did it all. So I was just always a defensive guy, always defensive minded. Defense wins championships, and I think that's one thing I want to bring into this next team is kind of that defensive mindset. Coach Buzz, he has that great setup for that already, and I think that's going to help me with how I block shots. Big thing for me is I love when guys go baseline because you only have one option. You can either try to put it off the glass or you have to come through the contact and you have to come through me. So I think one of my biggest things when it was being a shot blocker last season and just the numbers I was putting up was guys just thought they were better than what they were actually. So it was just easy for me when guys were being a little bit too arrogant to go up and block the shot and they think, oh, he's just 6'10", just because he's on the top 10 list doesn't mean he's anything. So I just love when guys were fearless and try to go up with me.
I think sometimes guys see that number and they're like, all right, I'm going to be the one to get him. I'm going to challenge that. And it actually gives you more opportunities to block shots. So, the ego is the enemy there a little bit for some of these guys, but that's pretty cool. Was that something the coaching staff at Northeastern sort of designed the defense to funnel guys to you in certain places on the court?
I think it was kind of like an unexpected byproduct of their defensive scheme. So they were very much a no middle type of team. They kind of saw that I was a little bit of a shot blocker and they kind of talked about it a lot, but it was never really like schemed into the defense. It was kind of just, hey, Collin, like if you can go get it, but be smart with what you're doing. Don't just leave your man trying to go chase blocks. Because a lot of times if I go chase a block, then that means a guy can get the offensive rebound really easy, and that's the easy 2 points. So that's just something I had to be skeptical of last season, but they definitely encouraged me to go out there and help with the rim.
I think what you just said is so interesting too. And you have to be, for someone to be such a good individual shot blocker and it to not hurt the defense, you have to be so locked in defensively. Like one, your coaches have to trust you to let you go get those ones and know what you can or can't go get. But also you have to trust that your teammates will have your back if you go to block that shot. And I think these Buzz Williams defenses have seemed very well connected where guys are all executing on the same scheme. So I think that should hopefully, enable you to go do what you do even more. And then you've got a lot of really great individual defenders around you here too.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll get back to the defense here a little bit. But just let's talk about the Terps overall. I know you had some other options out here on the table and a lot of people looking for your services here. So what was it about Maryland? What drew you to the program and what ultimately sealed the deal?
I think for me, Maryland was just, big amongst all of my friends coming up. A lot of my friends are like DMV products, two of the more notable guys from the DMV, Jared Turner and Masai Troutman. They always talked about Maryland. They were like, it's such a great school. It's such great academics and it's great sports. Whether it's football, lacrosse, or basketball, like somebody's always doing something good, whether it's on the men's or the women's side. So I think for me, it was a no-brainer when I heard Maryland come across the table for me as an option. The portal this year was like really crazy. There was, I think, like over 1,500 guys. So it was just, as soon as I saw that Maryland was an option and Maryland was available for me to go to, I was really excited for that opportunity because you don't come across a chance like that every day. Like somebody who's not only fighting to win at their conference, but also trying to fight for that national championship. So I think that's spectacular that I even got an opportunity like this.
You mentioned going through the portal process. Was it? I think it was Coach Rockefort that reached out to you from the Maryland staff here, but was that pretty early on? Did they touch base to see if you'd have any interest? Because obviously you mentioned that being appealing to you, but those guys probably didn't know that going in. So I guess how did that relationship kind of get established?
I think I was kind of one of the more guys who was taking the process pretty slow. I was waiting for like the perfect fit, which probably my agents and my coaches would have been like, "Oh my god," like they were freaking out for me.
Sure.
But I think late April they came across me and they finally decided to give me the offer, and I think I was ready to go after that. Coach Rockford and I went back and forth a lot, and it was kind of just like he wanted me to be sold completely to Buzz, and I think he was waiting for Buzz to finally give me the confirmation to come on campus, come meet the staff, and kind of just see the person I was. And he just wanted to make sure everybody on the staff was bought into who I was and what I bring to the table.
Which is exciting to hear because it seemed like pretty quickly after you visited, the move, the wheels started turning on making this thing actually a
Yeah,
reality. So it sounds like that visit went pretty well.
yeah.
Uh, you've spent some time in Southern Pennsylvania here. So how much did you know about this sort of DMV area other than what your former teammates had told you? Did you know about the school and any of the history at all from a basketball perspective?
So just like a couple things, like I went to prep school, like just north, just in Pennsylvania. It was like right above Frederick. So I was a Frederick frequent. I always went to Frederick. My AAU team, global squad, was out of Frederick.
Nice.
So I was very based off of like Frederick. I hadn't seen all of the DMV yet.
I got you.
So I've just been around there for hoops. I've been to Baltimore. I've been to DC. We go every year for the CAA tournament down in DC. So I'm very familiar with just the area of kind of like DC down to like kind of like Baltimore. I know that's not really DMV.
Sure.
Some guys are
Good. I'm glad you said that because somebody on here was going to give you a hard time about that. That's a very big deal around here. So I'm glad you know that in advance already.
Yeah, but kind of just like more DMV. I'm more familiar with like the DC area. So I know a lot of guys there. I have a lot of connections in DC. Spent a lot of time in DC, whether it was like for basketball or just going to like visit for like a week. Yeah, that's pretty much like what I know about the DMV area, but I think it's pretty nice down there. I love like how it's actually a melting pot of people. Like a lot of cities say, "Oh, we're a melting pot," but when you go to DC, like every person you see is going to be whether it's like somebody from Africa, somebody from like Asia, somebody from Europe, is going to be somebody different every single time you walk past somebody on the street.
And the campus is like that too. It's
Yeah.
the just meeting people from different cultures, different countries. I think that'll be a cool experience as well. So you got mentioned familiarity with the area and the school and things like that. But how about Coach Buzz Williams? Like, was this a guy you'd watch much Texas A&M in the past, or how much did you know about the way they play and the style they want to bring?
So I'm kind of one of those like weird guys who kind of like I'm a college athlete, but I barely watch like basketball. But
Okay.
as many times as I saw them on like national television, probably as much as anybody else, I got to watch a game. I got to watch how they were kind of like up on teams and they were like making teams turn the ball over. Like they were forcing teams to play at a pace that they weren't comfortable with. And I think another thing that helped is one of my agents is just like a huge fan of like Coach Buzz. So
Cool.
he just raved about his entire resume, just nonstop talked about him. And then I did my own research into him, saw like what he had on his resume, how much winning he brought to the table. Like everywhere he went, there was winning. They won. It was usually 20 plus win season. So I think that's very impressive. That's very hard to do in college, especially for as long as he's been there. And I think kind of when I came on the visit, it just spoke for itself, the kind of like person he was. He didn't really talk too much about him. He kind of let his staff do that for him. And a lot of his staff have been with him for at minimum a decade. So I think that's very special. And anytime you see that with a coaching staff, you just know that the head coach is somebody that like everybody's willing to run through a wall for. So if his whole staff has stayed for more than a decade each, then I'm ready to be there for my last year to rock out with Coach Buzz.
Yeah, I love that. That's so awesome to hear. And it seems like that was a good selling point for a lot of your new teammates here too. Do you know any of these guys coming in? Any familiarity with anyone else on the roster here already? I know basketball's like a pretty interconnected group, but any friends of friends on the roster or anything like that?
I think there's a couple guys out from the Massachusetts area that know like some guys that I play basketball with out here.
Gotcha.
Everybody that I've seen so far that's going in, they either have really good character or really good stats that I've heard and seen about. So I think it's going to be a very good group next year. Excited. I think one of the guys who I knew from like the start when I was like just got like a call from Coach Rockefeller was probably Sanders. So
Okay.
I think him and his dad both seem
Yep.
like great people. His dad reached out. His dad was talking to me the entire time. So it was just cool to see that, like, before I even became a Terp, there was already family members reaching out, and there was like some fans reaching out and trying to be connected with me.
Yeah, Elijah is a former guest of the podcast here too, and his dad helped set that up. So shout out to those pops. So just let's talk about you a little bit here as a player. For anyone who hasn't seen you play, like I can tell them a little bit about your game, but I think it's more impactful coming from you. So what kind of style can we expect from Collin Metcalf this year?
I think I'm the energy guy. Like, not a lot of guys like to play that part. A lot of guys want to be the superstar. They want to be the face of the program. I'm cool with taking a back seat to that. I'm the guy who's gonna do the things that need to be done, the little dirty work, whether it's like getting on the ground for like a loose ball, running out like to half court to go chase down a block. Maybe I'm at a disadvantage. Maybe I get dunked on. So what? That's my thing. Is I'm going to be the guy that's going to get the dirty work done. And I'm also going to be the guy that's cheering on everybody, making sure everybody's in the right mindset for the game. Obviously, 40 minutes for 30 games is a lot of time. It's hard for guys to always be there 100% of the time, no matter who you are, whether you're LeBron James or the guy at the end of the roster for Siena basketball. Like, you're going to be like burnt out at a certain point. So what I love to do is I love to just be that energy guy. I love to be that guy that people, when they get on the court, they're like, oh my God, I love playing with Collin. I love being around him. His energy is just infectious. So I think that's kind of what I bring to the table. And, a couple times here and there, I'll get like a monster block or come down and shake the rim. That's who I am. I'm just the guy who's going to be the big man, who's going to get the engine going and maybe have a couple like whoa plays every now and then, whether it's a lob or just like a putback dunk.
Fans love that. So I think you just made a couple guys excited to listen to this here already. You mentioned not wanting to watch a ton of basketball, which for as much time as you guys spend on the court preparing for basketball, I can very much understand wanting to just, when you're in your free time, just sort of mentally resetting here a bit. But when you do watch, is there anyone that you're studying or modeling your game after, or, hey, I love to watch tape of, player X because I can steal little bits from him here or there?
I think when I watch basketball and I go back and I look at guys, I think two of the biggest guys I go back and look at, they're not in this era. I love watching some Tim Duncan and
Nice.
I love watching Shaq.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not the same size and build as Shaq, and I don't have the exact game as like Tim Duncan, but I love to see how they use different parts of their own game. Whether like Tim Duncan, he had his little mid-range shots that he would knock off the backboard, and just like the fundamentals of just him just passing and moving through the offense. And then Shaq would just kind of seeing his tenacity and kind of like understanding how you need to move your body in space so that way you can be the dominant person down in the paint. I think those two guys are kind of like who I like to shape my game around and kind of just model it a little bit after them, because they did the best. They're two of the best, if not the best bigs of all time, in my opinion. So
yeah. Good answer. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, I think they just do a great job of it, and I think I just want to be like them, obviously, with my own little splash in there. Another guy I love to watch, Jaren Jackson. I think he's huge for me because he's a defensive player just like how I am, but he's a little bit more modern. Mm-hmm. So I think if I can learn to use some of the tools that he does by maybe extending it out a little bit, maybe getting a little handle, just doing the small things that the modern day basketball asks of me, I think I'll be great for my future.
I love that. Yeah, that's a great one too. And probably a similarly sized guy, I think, here too. And he's not Shaq big. So you guys have, a similar skill, size and frame, which makes sense. And I did watch some game footage here beforehand just to refresh on your game. And I did see one dunk. It was a two-hander where you did the high knees like the Shaq dunk. So I actually popped the mind here a little bit as I was going through it. So that's super cool. I thought this year you put a lot of pressure on defenses especially when one of your teammates got the rebound and you were able to just take off because you were quicker than a lot of the bigs. I think guys similar to your size, you were faster than them in the CAA. And I think that's one way that you can put some pressure on defenses here too. But also that requires other people to be good rebounders around you. And there's a lot of those on this Maryland roster. So I think that should free you up to do some more things offensively, but also offensively, in the pick and roll, you as a roller, as a lob threat, you can obviously go up and get it. So I think playing next to one of these really dynamic guards like a Miles Rice or a David Coit that's such a could pick or pop and put pressure on defenses. I'm really excited to see that. Is that something they talked to you about of that? Was that part of the appeal or the sell of this roster for you?
Yeah, I think one thing they told me that just made me kind of laugh and giggle was, we're not expecting you to come out here and shoot. Like that's not your thing. That's not who you are. What's going to get you paid is running and rebounding.
Yep.
I think, like you said, like a lot of guys that are my size aren't that quick. They're not that agile. They can't just take off from the baseline and be down at the other end, just like some of the guards. So I think that's what I capitalize a lot on, is just getting out before everybody else can. I've always been able to run up and down just for hours on hours on hours. I had a lot of brothers. They were a lot faster than me. So it was just learning to keep up with them and learning to like build that like speed and that momentum. So that way I could have the advantage on some of the players I play against, because I'm still new to the game of basketball. I think I'm going to my like 6th, maybe 7th real year of like organized competitive basketball. So I still got a lot to learn. It's still like a skill gap for me, but I know that I have to use my athleticism, like what I can do to beat out everybody else. And I think you just run, and don't get tired mentally, and you'll be fine.
I would mean this as no knock on the Northeastern staff whatsoever, but what you just talked about of being relatively new to the game, I think at certain points it's just nice to hear a new voice and learn new things from a new staff and see if there are other things you could pick up and keep learning from. So was that also sort of you spent 3 years there and you finally chose this year to get into the portal. Was that part of the thinking here of just, hey, I want to hear some new ideas along the way?
I think it was kind of just, I loved the staff. They did a lot of development with me. When I came in, I couldn't even dribble my left hand. The left hand layup was like an impossible task for me. They did a really good job of just developing me as much as they could. It was kind of just more the guys I've been rocking with since I got there. We came in, it was a class of 6 freshmen, and everybody was ready for the next step in their life. It kind of wasn't like we've learned all we could here, but it was good to learn what I did learn over there. There's a lot of things I do not on the court because that's not asked of me. Obviously, I'm not there to put the ball down on the ground. Obviously, I'm not there to go shoot a mid-range shot. But my job last year was just making sure I box out my man, I play hella defense, set a good screen so that way my teammates can get open and just keep moving so I can stretch out the defense, and I can also be a threat on offense that brings that pressure to the rim so that way people have to collapse in. They can't just leave me open.
It seems like a lot of your baskets did come off putbacks and things like that. And a Coach Williams team, he wants to control the glass on both sides here, get a lot of like easy putbacks too. So I'm loving that fit. As soon as I started watching tape you play, I'm like, okay, this is going to work with what these guys want to do. Are there any new wrinkles to your game there? You mentioned though, like, hey, focus on do what you do, but everybody wants to add a few new things here, from year to year. Anything you've already been focused on or plan to work on a little bit more this summer?
Definitely trying to be a better guy in the short roll. So I want to be able to kind of get the ball in the short roll and either make the decision to pass or kind of drive it. That's been a big focus for me this summer, is just learning to move in the space of just driving to the basket. I think rolling at the basket is great and all, but if I can be able to get the ball in a short roll, put the ball down maybe once, twice, pick it up, and I'm at the rim, now defenses have so much more to worry about than just, okay, like all we have to do is get in front of this guy and make sure he puts the ball down on the ground and it's a turnover. Just making sure that I can be able to do multiple things in the short roll and just driving to the basket, just getting my game to as perfect as I can be. I think I don't want to overwhelm myself because I am new to the game with trying to learn things like, okay, now you're backing out to the 3. Like I have plenty of time left in my career to do that. So, and there's obviously going to be next year where a pro program will come in and they'll say, hey, like you already have a decent jump shot. And now we just want to make sure that we develop your jump shots so you're comfortable taking them in game. Mm-hmm. And I think 2 things right now I'm focusing on for the next season. Being a better free throw shooter, because just like one of my idols, I do kind of shoot like Shaq from the line. So I think
you're not getting there a ton. So he has a much bigger sample size there. So I think this year we're going to get you to the line more, and we're going to see a lot more of them go in, I think.
Yeah. And I think Shooting and driving, I think it's going to be my bread and butter. If they can stop me there, it's going to be dangerous because I do have a tenacity to pass it. I'll make some crazy passes here and there, and I'll make some passes that you would never think that I'd be able to make, like a wraparound pass, just using my length with my arms to just like kind of throw the ball. And I think being an ex-quarterback when I was playing football when I was younger, I think I just learned that mindset of just like how to pass, where to pass to, and just like get into the perfect spot for like a good shot.
So no, I think every basketball player, no matter who they are, they have a few things that they still want to improve on as they go. For you, the turnovers were probably a little higher this year than you would have liked, or turnover rate.
Mhm.
And as you're talking about that, you do throw a lot of like really like whoa passes. Is part of that just mentioned being newer to the game? I can make these special passes, finding the right time to do them, and not getting sped up or not forcing a little bit thing like, hey, I think I could thread the needle, but maybe it's not worth the risk reward of doing that. Is that on the list of things to try to to clean up a little bit here as you go?
Yeah, I think a lot of what happened last year was that I kind of did rush and I was a little bit more hesitant to go to the rim. So there was opportunities that I had where instead of making the correct pass and kind of going up, I almost telegraphed it to where I was going to be passing it to. And so some of the guys who were a little bit quicker in our conference, they would be able to pick those off. Some of the guys in non-conference, they would see that too, and they would also pick it off. And I think that was one of the things that was very scoutable about me was, hey, he's not going to be like super confident going to the rim, so he's going to try to pass it. So a lot of teams would shift away and they would just kind of get ready to just like steal the pass. And yeah, there were some times where I kind of like did try to force it through unnecessary like defense, like, oh, maybe he's not paying attention. And that was just bad habits I had built up in like practice or anything like that, where it was kind of just like, oh, I know like he may not play defense like this, so I can throw that pass, but it wasn't the same in the game. And I think just the more that I get to be on the court and the more that I get to see how it is playing against like other guys, not just my teammates every day, will develop my game. And I think that's another big thing that Coach Buzz and the staff has also talked to me about, and they're getting ready to help me improve on that. And I think a lot of it was also some footwork and stuff like that, where I was kind of throwing it off my back leg and I was kind of just lobbing it up, and it was kind of just a hard to reach place for my teammates. So we just go out of bounds sometimes too. So definitely a point of emphasis that the coaches have brought to my attention.
And I think that's a risk reward thing for you too. Like I think if you can clean up a little of that of some of them, just the specialness of some of those passes you do make is one is going to make it really fun for you to play with for your teammates here too, which is awesome. And I loved that answer, by the way. I think Terps fans will like that answer because one, it's really self-aware, and two, it's all like coachable stuff that once you get it cleaned up, you'll be able to take that next big jump as a player. So we're really excited to see you do that here in College Park. So just let's close this out with a couple of quicker rapid fire ones. What are you studying in school?
Last year I was a business admin with a concentration in accounting.
Okay. What are you thinking about for here in Maryland? Got that figured out yet?
I think I'm going to go into economics. I think it's just weird with the transfer credits.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's got to be tough this time of year, is figuring out who will, what credits carry over where. How do I still get out of here on time? I don't envy you guys having to sort through all that stuff. What are you doing off the court for fun here? Like what's a a free afternoon look like for you?
Probably going out, trying like a new food place, and then
Cool.
doing something like maybe like a puzzle or like getting on the game or just going out on a date with my girl. So I think that's kind of what I just do.
Love it. Any particular food genre here that's your favorite? Because that is a nice thing about the DMV. You can get a little bit of everything around here.
A little bit more of a barbecue guy, and then
Okay.
like Asian cuisine.
Nice.
So
All right. For any Terps fans listening to this, if you got any good recommendations in the College Park area for Collin, hit him up here. Probably on Instagram is the best one to go
yeah.
to for you. All right. Awesome. Any hidden talents off the court? Any, I play this instrument or I do this kind of thing that you're willing to share?
If it's a brass instrument, I could play it. I was in band
Okay.
for 7 years.
Nice. What's the go-to? Do you have a favorite?
The tuba.
Nice. That's awesome. Favorite basketball movie?
Coach Carter.
Okay. Very good one. Any fun NIL purchases here so far?
Not at all. I think I'm gonna be a big saver.
I love that. As a smart answer too. That's that business and economics background here already. So good man. I was going to ask you of any of your new teammates you thought we should have here next on the program, but I know you're just getting familiar here with the guys. So we'll hold off on that to the next time we talk with you here, Collin. But any social media accounts here that people can follow?
I just think my Instagram one. I think I don't really use a lot of social media. I think Instagram I just use. So
okay, can you give the handle for folks here?
So it's going to be _ Collin Metcalf, just like the one on the name, and then _ at the end.
Awesome. All right, and I'll put that in the episode description for everybody here too. Collin, thank you so much for doing this, man. We're so excited to have you on the program here. I'm expecting a lot of those ooh and ah block shots from you, some big dunks, and we're looking forward to a big year from you and the rest of the team.
Yeah, I'm excited to be a part of the community, man. I think I'm loving Maryland again, and I can't wait to be back. I appreciate you having me on here.
Last question, I guess. When are you going to get into town here? Have you figured out what the summer looks like for you?
I think I'm going to be there early June. So
nice. Okay.
First week of June.
Awesome. All right. Well, enjoy a little bit of free downtime here if you can before the craziness starts.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button for us, rate, review, subscribe, all those things. We really appreciate that. And remember, share the podcast.